Welcome to the 2019 Hamburg Sessions. In organizing an event like this, you might be surprised to learn that not everything always runs entirely smoothly or exactly to plan. But obviously you can't tell that now, we hope. And for that, huge thanks are due not only to the FSH leadership, Director Ursula Schroeder and her advisor Holger Niemann, but also to the team who have put this together, most clearly to Sonja Obiatel, Martin Ennen and Patricia Kruse, who I've been working together with for months, and they've really put up with me during that time, so I thank you all very much indeed for that. Please join me in giving them one more big hand of applause. But I also want to thank my colleagues at the FSH, who've welcomed me into their team and indulged and supported me and us in turning what might have seemed like a slightly wacky idea into a real event. And it's at this point that the hard work that the team put in to overcoming those organizational bumps in the road, those slight frustrations, that it all feels worth it. And it feels worth it when I look around the room and I see so many friends from across Europe and around the world, and I see so many brilliant thinkers and doers who we've brought here in order to meet, to talk, and to engage in sustained discussion about the serious business of the future. Thanks to all of you for coming and for dedicating your time to the Hamburg Sessions. I know you're not exactly short of offers. When trying to overcome those inevitable organizational bumps in the road in arranging such an event, it does help to be something of an optimist. And those of you who know me know I am indeed an optimist. But looking beyond this conference, even optimists would concede that we live in slightly testing times. Indeed, the prevailing mood in Europe and much of the wider West is in fact rather pessimistic. 15 years ago, we had books claiming to tell us why Europe will run the 21st century. Now we have ones called After Europe, The Light That Failed, or How Democracies Die. I could go on. And despite the huge and real, although certainly uneven, progress that we've made in providing longer, healthier, happier lives, we're collectively disappointed by the failures of our political and technological vision. We're shocked by the downsides of modernity. We're stunned by the scale of our contemporary challenges, as well as the pace of change. As the historian Rutger Bregman has argued, in many ways, while we may never have had it so good, but we can't imagine anything better. Cultural commentators like Simon Reynolds, who you'll hear from tonight in the Feldstrasse Bunker, and Mark Fisher and others have noted the negative effect of this futurelessness on cultural production. They point to a lack of innovation, a retromania that sees us endlessly recycling and recombining elements of the past. And they see its roots in the lost futures, broken promises, and unintended consequences of various forms of modernism. Politicians have picked up on this too. Olaf Scholz has spoken of the lack of optimism as Europe's key problem, in what now seems like an earlier incarnation, rather different to the one that declared NATO to be brain dead. Emmanuel Macron outlined a European dream to counter the sad passions of people like Michel Houellebecq as much as those of Viktor Orban, Matteo Salvini, and Marine Le Pen. But we have yet to see decisive action to accompany these words. Too often, retro-rightism is met only with retro-leftism, or a tired centrism that seeks merely more of the same. Too often we feel immobilized, caught between nostalgia for the past, lost futures, and uneasy dreams. In our efforts to remember the past and commemorate it, we too often forget the future. We wallow in what The Economist has called an orgy of reminiscence. One of the key motivations for this conference is that in the face of our contemporary challenges, what we might call traditional security thinking actually makes things worse by applying an emergency logic in which there is no alternative. This kind of traditional security thinking focuses too much on the negative, or merely seeks to defend the outdated and inadequate status quo. Along with the politics of fear that has become influential in the West, this type of security thinking can leave us feeling hopeless or helpless, unable to enjoy and build on the progress that we've achieved, and increasingly unlikely to sustain and certainly not to accelerate and spread it. Underlying this fearful, pessimistic politics is what the philosopher Franco Berardi has called the cancellation of the future. Specifically, he means the cancellation of what we can call the progressive future. Now, progressive is not a term with which everyone is entirely comfortable. In fact, practically no one is. But we use it quite specifically here to mean the future that is better than the present, the future that would see subsequent generations live better than the current one. The notion that our children will live better than we do, and that we can progressively spread this betterment to ever more people around the world. So rather than offer more traditional security thinking, the Hamburg Insecurity Sessions seek to do things differently. We heard last night to brilliant effect why it is we focus on insecurity rather than security. But moreover, rather than merely countering threats, as Ursula Schroeder mentioned, we seek to find, but also to create and to seize opportunities, to fill in the blanks in today's societies, politics, and cultures, to address the voids left by the demise of old and outdated concepts. The Hamburg Insecurity Sessions encourage us to explore the spaces and possibilities that are created by our fast-changing, complex, and uncertain world, to embrace the positive that that can bring, rather than again wallow in the negative and the helpless. By doing so, we hope to rekindle the optimism and the belief in the possibility of a better future that are essential for progressive politics as well as for sustainable security. This is the place. The Hamburg Sessions are the place for big and bold visions, for the ideas that can give meaning to and animate the feeling that the very idea that ideas matter, that ideas can still change the world for the better. And I'm delighted to have such a fantastic group of keynote speakers and key input providers to inspire us. But we also have an equally impressive group of discussion leaders, first responders, and participants of all kind. And it is our collective responsibility to keep our ideas honest, to not allow us to drift into lazy utopias or pipe dreams, and conversely to push us to dream a little bigger when we're being too timid. It's up to all of us to actively think and feel the future that we want, and to work out how to make it happen. In this way, the Hamburg Insecurity Sessions can start uncancelling the future, and offer new visions of better lives and how they can be achieved. Thank you all, and welcome back to the future.